welcome behind the poem. Let's break it down. So it goes, made the mistake of falling into the pit of me. Surrounded by my darkest secrets, I had an epiphany. I fell into the trap of thinking I knew everything, thinking that I had all the answers, right? The pit of myself, right? I fell into my emotions, right? The depression, the sadness, the suicidal thoughts, right? Fell into all of that stuff, right? Fell into the pit of me. So at that moment, I had an idea, right? I had a realization, a aha moment, a eureka moment. Gifted stories to tell. My life looked like a trilogy. So basically, I realized I had some stories that I definitely could be writing about. That I was acting like my life was over, right? And I was only in the middle, right? It had begun. I had learned stuff in the middle, but I definitely hadn't made it to the end yet. So yeah, my life was a trilogy. It's so many more stories to tell, right? It's like a 3-part book is what it feels like. So trilogy, talking with God, I felt like the epitome of another Joe with a dream, because my brothers wasn't hearing me. So I do believe in the Bible, right? And the Bible talks about Joseph and how Joseph told his brothers he had a dream and ended up selling them into slavery. He later goes on to be the king of Egypt and basically kind of gets his brothers back a little bit. But he forgives them. So yeah, and that's kind of where I go in this poem, right? But in the story, they throw him in a pit, right? They they throw him in a pit before selling him into slavery. So yeah, that was the pit I'm in. That's my emotional pit. I'm in this pit full of emotions before I have this idea, right? And having this idea after having it and trying to make it a reality, I feel just like Joseph when I go to tell people like, hey, I got this idea, this thing. So yeah. Their love turning to an envy, but my gift was never on me, it was in me. So yeah, people were upset and they felt, the way they felt about me having this idea and this dream, and they tried to crush it, and there was a lot of hatred and animosity and envy or whatever built up, just jealousy in their heart. But it's not my fault. It's not like I had this gift on me. It's not like it was something I could take off to make them feel more comfortable, right? It was in me. So respectfully, the show must go on. On me, it was in me. They mocked me, enslaved me to their expectations. But God touched my work and gave them revelation. So yeah, like I said, they mocked me. A dream is always funny to everybody else until it comes true. Then you're overnight success. Remember that. So yeah, they mocked me, and then I was supposed to do what they expected me to do. I was supposed to only be able to be as good as they expected me to be, right? So they tried to enslave me with their expectations and basically trying to define who I should be, right? Just like Joseph's brothers did, right? We're not gonna bow down to you. Who do you think you are, right? Kind of question their identity there. But again, the gift was in me. It wasn't on me, So it is what it is. We move on. But God touched my work, giving me revelation. So God still was favorable. God still, revealed to them what my dream was, like showing them what it was by having it come to reality, right? Which is actually the book, right? The poetry book I wrote, Poetic Piece, the Heartfelt Edition. Feel free to get your copy, link in description. But yeah, that's how we got to the book. That was the revelation, right? That was them actually seeing this idea that I had. That was the epiphany, right? So the book, it's the book. It's meant to help other people. I'm like, I can help other people by telling these stories that like are real life, that I've had to live through, that I've had to encountered that is a part of me, and these are all things that people feel shame about. But nobody was hearing that message when I was telling them I was writing a book, right? But we move on. Anywho, I found peace with grace and started elevating. Yeah, man. I mean, I just found peace with God's grace. Like the fact that I can't earn it. There's nothing I can do. It's a gift, you know. And that's what should really matter most to me every day, right? Is that I do have God's grace. So the fact that I have His grace and I'm waking up every day, that's all I need. As my brothers went from feast to famine, I became unrecognizable during our conversations. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people started off hotter than what I did for sure. They felt like, you know, they they were doing a lot better financially. They were doing a lot better as far as like materialistic things, right? And so it's all fun when, how they say, the rabbit got the gun, but it ain't no fun when the rabbit um don't got the. It's all fun and games till you ain't the one playing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, I was like a laughing stock. I got plenty of jokes cracked. I got plenty of negative comments right before the book got published about how crazy I was and who did I think I was writing this book and all this other stuff, right? But at the same time, I took so many negative comments that it definitely shaped me as a person to have thicker skin. So the person that I was before I wrote the book is definitely not the person I was once the book got published, simply because of the level of criticism that I had to endure on a consistent basis. So, like I said, we live on. You know, the book is written. Again, it's available in description, but ain't nothing they can say. They can, in the words of my guy Drake, call me overrated or created or too jaded. Because any way you put it, you know the rest. So, let's move on. But I'm expected to show the grace that was given to me when betrayal is still the first thing I see. So, yeah, I'm supposed to give grace to these people. I still see how, the betrayal happened. Like, it don't make it hurt no less that these are the people who I thought so highly of that I was betrayed by, but heck, or I felt betrayed by. But heck, Jesus got betrayed by one of his disciples, you know what I'm saying? So imagine a student betraying the teacher. Cold world. So who am I to think that, I wouldn't be betrayed by, family or friends or whatever. So it's the name of the game. Don't take nothing personal. But rather than become a prisoner to animosity, God's love flows out of me. Yeah, so rather than walk around with all that hatred and, negative energy that helps clog your arteries and your veins and all this other stuff, let it go. Let God handle that. So that's what I do. I let God handle it. I'm not walking around with all that level of animosity. That don't mean I forgot, right? But I'm just not walking around with it. I'm not going to let it, constantly affect my day-to-day life just because of some comments people made or some thoughts people had about something that they couldn't see that I could, right? That's why the vision was given to me and not them. So, again, it happens. It is what it is. We learn. We move on. We progress. So I just let God's love flow out of me because that is the biggest guilt trip in the world. Like, what do you do when you talked all this crap to somebody? You were super negative towards this person, and all they do is show you grace and love. It hurts more than if they just swing back, and so that's what I do. with open arms, I embrace our history because I remember what God did for me. So I'm embracing, all those people who had the negative comments, all those people who had the hateful comments, all those people who, tried to tear me down while I was building the book, right? Building the social media, all the people who told me I couldn't do it, that nobody does stuff like that, all of that stuff. all those people who were trying to tear me down, it's fine, brother. It's perfectly cool, because you can do that, but it didn't work. So it didn't work because it wasn't in God's plan for it to work. So all I'm gonna do, same way Jesus had open arms on the cross, right? He embraced the fact that he had been betrayed, and he still loved us anyway. I remember what he did for me. So same thing. I'm gonna extend that same level of grace and love and forgiveness, to those who did the same to me, right? Who beat me down verbally, right? He got beat physically, but I got beat down verbally. But I don't think that's nothing compared to, what he took on. So if he can forgive, why can't I? And that's why we got a topless pit. Appreciate it.